There you have it, our top focus there. Shiv Sena hitting out at its own ally, Congress's leadership being questioned, calling Rahul Gandhi as unfit to fight the BJP as an opposition leader. Now, all that and more in this particular special there, where we have our guests joining us to give their perspective. Of course, Shiv Sena there pushing the UPA, or the Congress particularly, to an edge, saying that the UPA is a dead man walking, while stressing on the need to unite the opposition all the more. Sena's mouthpiece Saamna there slamming the Congress, saying that it failed to put pressure on the Modi government. While questioning Rahul Gandhi's leadership, it also lauded NCP Chief Sharad Pawar as the only visible face of the UPA. Here's more, a roundup on that.
Back-to-back poll droppings. Desertions to BJP. 23 senior leaders writing to Sonia Gandhi demanding a complete party overhaul. The list of Congress's woes just goes on. And now the party is caught in the crosshairs of its own allies. Shiv Sena's mouthpiece Saamna has launched a no-holds-barred attack on the Congress, blaming it for the divided opposition. Saamna editorial states that farmers' agitation is not yielding results because Modi government thinks there is no political threat to them. It accuses Congress and the UPA of failing to put pressure on centre and labelled the alliance as a dead man walking.
बीजेपी एक मजबूत स्थिति में है, मोदी जी का नेतृत्व मजबूत स्थिति में है, लेकिन उनके सामने यूपी और यूपीए जो है उनको भी एक संग एक मजबूत ताकत के रूप में हमको बनाना पड़ेगा। ये हमने आज कहा है।
शिवसेना के साथ हमारा जो गठबंधन हुआ है वो महाराष्ट्र की हद तक सीमित है, और वो भी एक कॉमन मिनिमम प्रोग्राम के तहत ये फैसला हुआ है। शिवसेना अभी भी कानूनी तौर पर यूपीए की अभी घटक पार्टी नहीं हुई है, यूपीए की कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट पार्टी नहीं हुई है। जो पार्टी यूपीए में ही नहीं है, उन्होंने यूपीए के नेतृत्व के बारे में सलाह देना उचित है, ऐसा मैं नहीं मानता हूं।
The editorial went on to say that the UPA is in shambles and needs leadership to unite the opposition. Sena mouthpiece batted for Sharad Pawar to take over the reins, saying he's the only visible face in the UPA and that his experience and guidance is sought even by Prime Minister Modi. Saamna editorial also added that UPA needs more regional parties, but many of them, like Mamta's TMC, are unwilling to join the current UPA fold. The rumblings within UPA gave BJP the ammunition to target Congress.
इस प्रकार का अपमान वो कब तक सहेंगे? क्या सिंहासन के लालच में कांग्रेस ने अपना स्वाभिमान खो दिया है? लिखते समय शिवसेना नेता यह भी भूल जाते हैं कि वे भी एक विरोधी दल में हैं। केवल और केवल शरद पवार जी की चापलूसी छोड़ करके इन्हें और कुछ दिखता नहीं है।
Next on the line of attack was Rahul Gandhi. Sena mouthpiece said that while he is doing enough, there is something lacking in his leadership and the Congress needs a full-time president. With many states headed for polls in 2021, the leadership vacuum has once again come back to haunt the opposition. And with Saamna questioning Rahul's ability to lead, the big question is, who will lead the charge to take on the Modi-Shah juggernaut? With Mustafa Sheikh in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
There you have it, our spokesperson of the Congress there. Of course, Congress spokesperson particularly has not joined us, but we have BJP spokesperson Sanju Verma joining us of the BJP, Chetan Singh, our political analyst, also Dhaval Kulkarni, our author, the cousins Thackeray, joining us for more details on that. I'm going to cut across straight to first Chetan Singh. Chetan, the Congress party there, let alone the ruling party, the ruling BJP taking a jibe is quite natural. Here we're looking at the Congress's ally in possibly one of the only states that they're together and currently sitting. One would think that they have a healthy partnership, but clearly the Shiv Sena there taking its chance to nag the Congress on its leadership. After saying UPA is a dead man walking, it comes down to say, well, Rahul Gandhi has done all he can, but there is something missing. What is that something missing is what the Shiv Sena is trying to poke at here. And it's not the Shiv Sena only saying it. It's quite visible looking at the way the Congress leadership itself is crumbling from within.
See, like, you know, first and foremost, this Maha Aghadi government, the way they are working in Maharashtra, it's a very fantastic process which they have formed it over there. And it seems like, you know, all these three parties in a democratic manner, they are going ahead. But when this kind of article, when they come up in the mouthpiece of Shiv Sena, so it's a matter of concern. I'm humbly going to suggest to avoid and to refrain from writing such kind of an article. Now, when it comes down to the Congress leadership, we have seen recently that how Sonia Gandhi ji has undertaken a meeting with all the top leadership, including the dissent leaders, and they all have come together to certain points, and they have accepted that Rahul Gandhi ji is going to be the next president of this particular party. And now, see, if you're going to talk about the issues which are taking place in our country right now, where not only the country but around the world people are concerned, because the farmers are going through a very tough situation. And what the current dispensation and the BJP is doing is taking a jibe. Is making mockery of farmers just to oblige and just to take care of certain corporates. See, farmers are extremely concerned. Hence, Maharashtra, not only Maharashtra, around the world, people are around the India, all the regional parties, they are banking on Congress, because Congress is one of the oldest parties in the country.
Is it not understood by now that possibly not the most bankable party or the bankable leadership, considering its ally itself is pointing fingers? By now, the regional parties should have an understanding. And here they're talking about NCP Chief Sharad Pawar, the only visible face. What do you think of that?
See, like, if you're going to talk about Sharad Pawar ji, we know that the time. See, we know, ma'am, hold on. I understand you're getting too, nervous, and you are getting too desperate to jump your guns right now.
Continue, Chetan.
All right. See, first, we need to understand Sharad Pawar ji has played a very vital role when it comes down to saving this government, because continuously.
But what kind of political connect does he have, or what kind of connect does he have individually with regional parties across? It's not just Maharashtra we're talking about. UPA has to have that connect in every state which the Congress has.
See, it is for sure that Rahul Gandhi ji is going to occupy the top chair, because the way he has taken up and he has grown.
And you think that's the right strategy to go?
Is something commendable.
So Rahul Gandhi taking the top chair is the right way to go forward?
Absolutely.
Right.
This is the only way right now at this point of time, because he's the person we have seen in Hathras what has happened. He has gone down to the ground
Rahul Gandhi is the right person to take the leadership forward. UPA, that aside, I'm not going to ask you about the Congress's leadership, but what I will ask you here is the Shiv Sena there, of course, a direct taunt at you, at the BJP, for ignoring the farmers' protests, and an indirect compliment that it gives the BJP, saying it's powerful, it's strong enough that there's no opposition that can stand up to the BJP. Your take on that?
Nabila, first of all, let me tell Chetan Singh, I am not the one who is desperate. You are a desperate paid political analyst who comes and spews rubbish.
I think we've got to refrain from political attacks, personal attacks. Let's stick to political, not personal. Sanju Verma.
Stop making personal comments at me, Chetan Singh. Stop making personal comments at me.
All right, let's move forward. Sanju Verma, let's move forward.
You are showing your true face out here.
Let's move forward.
You're showing your true face.
Yes.
Nabila, can you please request her not to make these kind of comments?
I'm going to allow Sanju Verma to complete her point.
Nabila, can you tell her, are you paying me here on this channel?
Chetan, if you hold on for a moment.
No, how dare she can make this kind of statement? No, you have to stop her.
This is
Nabila
not done. I will not speak.
If I can please allow Sanju Verma to speak.
She can put an RTI and she can find it out whether I'm getting some kind of money or not. How dare she can
Sanju Verma, please go on with your point. We don't have forever on this panel and the debate here. Can you please continue with the actual point we're here to speak, please? Ms. Sanju Verma.
Yeah. So Nabila, I want to just say one thing. I agree with Sanjay Raut on three things. A, he said that the Congress has become as irrelevant as an NGO. Point number two, he said that the Congress is today feeble and disintegrated. And the third point which he said is obviously true, that after the demise of Ahmed Patel and Motilal Vora, there's nobody who can take on the reins of leadership or play a crucial advisory role to Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. Now that is where I agree with Sanjay Raut. The rest of what he has spoken is utter gibberish, which is his wont.
Basically, what he's spoken about BJP ignoring the farmers who are seated for 30 days is gibberish.
Nobody can stand up to BJP because Narendra Modi, Amit Shah and JP Nadda are 24/7 politicians. Tell me, Nabila, after the Bihar election defeat, what was Rahul Gandhi doing? He was vacationing in Jaisalmer. What was Prime Minister Narendra Modi doing after a stunning victory in the Bihar elections, where we were just one seat lower than the RJD and emerged as the main opposition party? We were actually back to work. Prime Minister Narendra Modi actually addressed the armed forces in Jaisalmer.
Right.
So what I want to tell you is that for BJP, politics is a 24/7
No
passion.
doubt,
It
Sanju
is not a
Verma,
job
no doubt
where you
that the
come in at
BJP's
9 AM, walk out at
political
5 PM.
campaign strategy, no doubt their campaign strategy in every state is par excellence. But what is worrisome is that the BJP is constantly on election mode.
Yes.
What about the actual work on ground? What about the people's voices? What about the farmers' protest? It all comes down to that. Farmers there
That
sitting
is a
over
great
30
question.
days don't have a year of the government.
That is a
The
great
government
question.
claiming that they want to have
That is a
talks, but
great
they're not coming to
question.
the
Now, let
point
me
where the
answer.
government...
Nabila, you made a point. Let me tell you one thing, that there are more than 300 farmer unions in the country and more than 280 farmer unions support the government. Let me tell you categorically that we have transferred 8 lakh crore by way of MSP for just paddy and wheat in the last 6 years. Do you know what the MSP for wheat is today? 1975
Right, I'm not going to get into details of that. What I do know, I'm not going to, that's for another debate altogether, another discussion. Let me tell you, but it's 31 days that farmers are seated on, protesting, saying that, and it's, you may be talking about 300 farmers unions, but 40 farmer unions are no less. Are you then trying to say that the 40 farmers unions who are protesting, about 2 lakh odd farmers who are protesting are not important? Is that what you're trying to say, that they're not important, those who are sitting right now?
280 farmer unions are standing in solidarity with the Modi
See, what you're
government.
saying is those who are happy with it. What about those who are unhappy? They're also your voters, they're also your citizens. So let's not get to that, the basics there.
Yes,
The
so
point
nobody
being
said
that they're
that those who are
protesting.
unhappy
The
are not our
point being
voters.
that they're protesting
The
at the
Modi
government who
government will
has
reach out
a
to
battery of...
psycho-fancy
The
attitude
government,
and
the
temperament
BJP
is
government
not
has
going
a
to do
battery of
anything.
negotiators. BJP government has the best of speakers, the best of mediators. But even then you're not able to end the deadlock with the farmers, and that's what's ironic. Dhaval Kulkarni, our author...
learn to digest the truth.
Well,
why as an anchor are you interrupting me?
Well, because
Why as an
you're not
anchor are you
allowing
going on
me
interrupting
to
You made
speak
a
either.
point. Why
I wanted to
aren't
get
you
to the
allowing me
next.
answer?
I wanted to get to the next
You have been
panelists. Allow me to get to the next
continuously.
panelist.
It is
You're
your job to
not
ask.
allowing
It is
me
not your
either.
job to answer.
Let me
It is
go
not
over
your job to answer
let
the
me go over to
questions.
Dhaval
Please
Kulkarni
allow
joining
me to
us.
answer. You are the anchor.
Miss
Why are you
Sanju Verma,
answering
allow
on my
other people
behalf?
also to speak,
Why are
right?
you answering on my behalf?
Allow other people also to
The
speak.
Modi government has reached out to
And I'm not
farmers.
answering on your behalf. I
Modi
responded to
government
what
will
you
reach
said.
out
Nabila,
to
she's
those
speaking
who
more
are
than you in
I'm
your own show.
responding to what
I've
you're
never
saying.
ever seen
Politicize
the
matters.
panelist is going to speak more than the anchor here.
No, I'm responding to what Ms. Sanju Verma is saying. I'm not speaking for you. I hope you're not mistaken on that. Now, Dhaval Kulkarni,
No.
if you can give us your perspective on the Shiv Sena, very categorically in its mouthpiece, hitting out at its ally. Isn't it quite a shame that it comes down to the Congress leadership, which is supposed to be the grand old party, isn't able to find a face within its own? And the Shiv Sena is pushing for the third ally, NCP Chief Sharad Pawar, to be the only visible face. What a shame on the Congress party, and what is it? Does it speak of a rift between the Shiv Sena and the Congress here?
See, Nabila, to put it in a perspective, there is a perception that Mrs. Sonia Gandhi is gradually withdrawing from a leadership role in the UPA. And in this situation, Mr. Sharad Pawar's partisans claim that it is only their leader who can stitch together a larger anti-BJP coalition of opposition parties, considering his very long stint in politics, his administrative abilities, etc. They say that since the Mahavikas Aghadi in Maharashtra, which consists of very different or rather say disparate political parties, is essentially an anti-BJP coalition in the sense that it has been formed just to keep the BJP out of power. So they say that hence Mr. Sharad Pawar can be the focal point around which the opposition can coalesce, and Mr. Pawar is seen as someone who has bet the BJP's so-called Chanakyas at their own game. So if Mr. Pawar is pitched to some sort of leadership role in the UPA, he can help put up a very good fight against the BJP.
Right.
Now,
so
from the point of view of the Congress, I have been.
Mr. Kulkarni, then in that case, a quick
Nabila,
word.
let me complete.
The Congress is disintegrated. That is almost finished. The Congress is disintegrated and it's feeble.
Sharad
Would you
Pawar
agree?
is well past his prime. Sharad Pawar is well past his prime. Sharad Pawar is a spent force now. Let's be very clear that to defeat the BJP, you need ideology, you need an organizational setup, you need to have policies which work on the ground. As JP Nadda said, BJP is the only party जिसके पास चाल है, चरित्र है, चेहरा है, कार्यकर्ता है, कार्यक्रम है, कार्यशैली है. So you know, to defeat the BJP, you need
Dhaval
to have
Kulkarni,
a
I
common
couldn't
ideology.
agree more with
The
Sanju
only
Verma on that.
ideology the
You need a
opposition has
face, you need someone,
is hatred for
you
Narendra
need
Modi,
a young
which is not
face, you
working.
need an ideology, you need a strategy, you need all of
Nabila,
that.
can I come
I
please?
agree with Sanju Verma on that point. What would you say to that? Isn't that lacking?
Acha, this question is to me.
Mr. Kulkarni, let him complete, please.
Sorry, yeah, there was too much of commotion on
Go
the
on,
show.
Dhaval
Sorry.
Kulkarni.
See what I mean. See what I was trying to say was, if you sort of connect the dots. See, because there's a lot of unease in the Congress because there's a sense and there's a perception that if Mr. Sharad Pawar is pitched for to a leadership role in the UPA, this means that the Congress has to withdraw despite being the largest party in the UPA. And again, if you connect the dots, just last month or so, Mr. Sharad Pawar was quite vocal in his criticism of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. He said, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, I'm not quoting him exactly as he spoke, but what he meant to say was Mr. Rahul Gandhi is a sort of a touch and go kind of a politician, because he was pitched by the Congress twice to take on Mr. Narendra Modi and the BJP, and he failed. So there is a sense that Mr. Pawar could probably, though Mr. Pawar is 80, he is a cancer survivor, he is seen as a typical 24/7
But what we see here, Mr. Kulkarni, that however
who can
softly
sort
the
of
Shiv
put
Sena
leaders
says it.
half his age to shame by his energy levels or so.
Right, but
so there is
however
a perception that if he is pitched.
Right. We got your point. However
something.
softly that the Shiv Sena says it, it's still going to hit hard to the Congress now.
No, that see traditionally, and coming to the Saamna editorial,
I got it.
we
But
must
the point
understand
is, like you're saying,
that traditionally the Shiv Sena and the Thackeray family. No, Nabila, let me complete. Nabila, please let me complete. See, traditionally, the Shiv Sena has always been close, or the Thackeray family has been close to the Pawars, even when the late
so then you're saying this statement is just coming out of sheer bias. And there's no truth to it that the Congress leadership is wobbly.
Are the handmaidens
So
of
you're
Sonia
saying this is
Gandhi.
sheer bias, that's
Today
it.
the Thakkers are handmaidens.
No,
I'll go over
Nabila,
to
sorry,
Chetan.
there's
So
some
please
cross
do
talk.
not
I can't.
speak about the
Yeah, sorry.
Thackeray's.
Nabila?
Chetan, what Mr.
What
Kulkarni
is the
says that this
political
is the Shiv
capital of
Sena's
Thackeray's?
relationship with the NCP.
Can you please
that's
tell her to
prompted
quiet
the Shiv
please?
Sena
No,
to take
the Thackeray family.
We got it. We got your point. So I'm saying, is this sheer bias then? That the statement has come out of sheer bias and there's really nothing wrong with the Congress party in that case. Chetan Kulkarni. Chetan, go on.
This is for me, right?
Yeah, go on.
So, okay. So first and foremost, we need to understand here categorically what is happening in a country is deplorable. Look at the farmers, they have come from everywhere now, and they have camped here in Delhi. Look, we need to here understand that any sensible top leadership would have gone within these farmers and would have addressed these issues. There have been the prime ministers in our country who have, at 2 o'clock in the night, when they got to know about it, that this issue was for the farmers, they have got
we
up
got
and they
what
have
the
gone
government
within
is
the
not
farmers and they
doing.
have addressed it.
I've picked that bone with Sanju Verma as well. We know what the government is not doing right now. And we've spoken about it. You tell me what is the opposition's role here? And you think the opposition is living up to it? That's the question.
Nabila, this is not the way. Why Sanju speaking over me?
Sanju Verma, allow him to have a last word, please. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Allow him to complete his point.
Can you request this
Can we
lady
please have
who's
Sanju
not even
Verma?
stopping for even a second from last 30 minutes? She's like blah blah blah.
Please go on.
Wake up and smell the
All right,
coffee.
thank you. All right. So now, see, like, you know, when you're going to talk about the opposition, we have seen during the lockdown also that how Rahul Gandhi ji has gone with these migrant labours, and he understood it, and he has held various talks. He has held various campaigns.
All right.
And we have
Now
seen what
coming
has
to the
happened
farmers' protest.
in Hathras also. Therefore, the way he has got connected with the people of the country at this given point of time, I am sure that people of the country is going to accept it. And now you look at this, 5 रुपए सिलेंडर के बढ़ने के ऊपर सरकार गिरा दी थी, अब 100 रुपए सिलेंडर पे बढ़ गए हैं.
But Chetan, we're not seeing consistency.
अब ये farm bill से farmers
We
are
aren't
concerned
seeing
with farm
consistency. Coming out one day, holding a march till the Rashtrapati Bhavan is not going to rake up anything.
BSNL is not going to get affected, but you have seen what exactly has happened in the country. So here, therefore, the farmers are concerned.
Nabila, can I please come in now? You've given him uninterrupted time.
Right, go on, Sanju.
You've given him uninterrupted time to
Go on,
speak.
Sanju, a quick word. I barely have a minute
Thank
left.
you, Nabila, let me first tell your viewers, since Chetan Singh is ignorant and brought up the farmers issue, we have given 8 lakh crore by way of MSP just in the case of paddy and wheat to farmers in the last 6 years. Just 2 days back, 82,000 crore worth of paddy was procured at MSP from farmers. Point number 3. The Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana has deposited more than 1,10,000 crore in the accounts of more than 12 crore farmers in the last 2 years.
Do you know what is happening in Western UP with the Ganna belt? You may not be aware about it.
All right.
We got your point. This data is not going to do any good. Farmers are suffering at the end, and they are looking forward for MP.
Got your point, Ms. Sanju. I'll take a last word with Mr. Kulkarni before I wrap here. If I can lower Sanju and Chetan, please. Mr. Kulkarni, a quick word from you as I wrap here. As an author, what is your perspective on a strong opposition which we see lacking here quite clearly, and Shiv Sena has picked that bone as well? A quick word from you as I close this.
The Shiv Sena is trying to pitch for Mr. Sharad Pawar as the focal point around which all anti-BJP or non-BJP opposition parties can coalesce. The whole idea is, since Mr. Rahul Gandhi has taken on Mr. Narendra Modi twice in the past and failed, the idea is to pitchfork Mr. Sharad Pawar to a leadership role in the UPA and let him get a shot at
well, we should see how the Congress reacts to that. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kulkarni. Thank you, Sanju Verma. Thank you, Chetan, for joining us on that. How's the Congress going to react to that? So far, we've not got a reaction on that front. But nonetheless, I hope this message here, even though it's come from the Shiv Sena, goes straight across to the people rightfully, be it the BJP for the farmers' protest or the Congress on integrated leadership, as the Shiv Sena claims. Let's hope this talk is fruitful. Thank you for watching.